So when you thought that the British government couldn't get any more anti-Semitic with anti-Semitic members of parliament, you have a huge self-hating anti-Semitic member of parliament called Gerald Kaufman. Ever heard of him?
I heard a little bit about him.
So this guy has been in the parliament since 1970
Hmm.
from Manchester,
Hmm.
which has a high Jewish population. There's a lot of Jews
Yeah.
living in Manchester. And
Hmm.
for some reason, they still elect this guy
Hmm.
who has condemned Israel several times. He met with
Yeah.
the Iraqi government in the 70s.
Hmm.
This guy has systematically called Israel the filth of the earth,
Hmm.
has said that Hamas is just like the Jewish partisans
Hmm.
of World War II.
Hmm.
And he has also came out and said that everything that's going on in Israel now with the attacks
Hmm.
are made up by the government
Hmm.
just to kill off more Palestinians.
Okay. So, I think um, the last thing you mentioned, that I think that's the one that crosses the line,
Hmm.
and I'll tell you why. Because because first of all, that's just insanity. That's just insanity. That's like one of those major conspiracy theories against Jews or whatever, and
Hmm.
actually buying into that garbage. That crosses the line. But the other things that he said, actually, if you look from the other side, if you have like a kind of a messed up view of the situation, and you don't know really like the whole perspective of the situation, you could see Hamas as people like in the Warsaw Ghetto. If you don't know the whole if you
So
don't
the
know the
people
whole
in the
situation.
Warsaw Ghetto were able to make
No,
money
no,
and
no.
become
Here's the
billionaires
thing.
overnight by
No, 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 no,
selling
no.
like.
Well, see, that's my point. Is that if you don't have the whole perspective, you can easily see Hamas as the same. You know,
Equating Hamas to Jewish partisans is a disrespect
of
and
course it is.
a
Of course it is.
completely
But
unequivocal to.
well, of course, there's no. Of course it is because Hamas is trying to destroy our country. That's their goal, is to destroy our country. They made that very clear. Um, Whereas the Jews in Warsaw were not trying to destroy Europe, or they were
the
actually
the
trying
the
to assimilate.
the Belchki brothers were trying to survive, and they only killed Nazis.
Correct. And Hamas would kill the entire country here. But from the perspective of many people, they would say, well, look, the Palestinians are in the same situation. Why? Because from their perspective, they would say the Palestinians are closed off. They're in an open air prison. This is what they would say. And from there, they would point to the fact that Palestinians can't go anywhere. They can't leave Gaza, barely. They have to get a permit, and it's not easy to get a permit. And they can't go through Egypt, so they're stuck in a prison, and at least from their perspective, and it's true in many ways that they're kind of trapped in. But they fault Israel for this primarily, and I would actually say they're the people responsible for the condition in Gaza are the people who the international community, from primarily the Bush White House and the European Union, that forced Israel to leave Gaza in 2005,
Mm.
that pressured Israel. That created the conditions for what we have today.
Mm.
But this guy that you mentioned, I think, is just clearly just either has a messed up view of the conflict, or that's one thing, or two, he's just.
Insane and probably on the verge of dementia because he's so old.
I don't want to get onto personal attacks here. I think but I will say this. He's not, either he doesn't understand enough about his heritage, he doesn't like his heritage, he's ashamed of his heritage, or he just has a messed up view and is ill-informed. I don't think he's ill-informed. I think he knows exactly what's going on.
He just hates himself. He's a self-hating Jew.
That might be some aspect to it, or he just doesn't like his, or he just doesn't like the fact that he's a Jew. Yeah.